First off, before I start this podcast, sad news here at the Lake Mohawk in Utah. Min, our 100-year-old Mohawker, has passed away. I talked to him just a few days ago, sat with him, visited with him. I got a really great photograph with him, probably the last photograph ever taken here with him. He's passed at 100. That's two of our famous Ogdenite 100-year-olds that have passed recently. So our great jazz musician. I got a great photograph of him right before he passed. So another broadcast of Mohawkers versus shit talkers. One of my old high school biology teachers right there. He's the one that told me. Jim, that guy plays. He's 83. So very sad to hear this. I was wondering because I hadn't seen him all week. So as you know, I've had my heart valve replaced again. He says, I've had for 17 years, my old biology teacher says, I've had a pig valve for 19 years now. God, that's amazing. He says it's got a bad murmur, but so this could be the most corrupt place in the world. And I'm not kidding. Weber State could be the most corrupt institution in the country, maybe in the world. And I'm telling you, and I'm pissed again. So we've got more lazy coaches up there. Basketball. It's Randy Ray. Here we go again. So I found out yesterday, Tumba told me, it's interesting the CIT and the CBI didn't give. He says they both gave us an invite. And you didn't go? Why? Coaches decided. Yeah, because they're lazy. They want to go on vacation. Weber State, as you know, the Chinese United States FBI investigation on influencing, legal or illegal, has pointed right to Weber State. As you know, Kevin Blanch has been screaming about, I was the guy there. I was being postured and groomed to become a finance professor at I was a student professor, #1 school of business in the United States. Now think about this. #1 school of business in the country. And it's a public university. It was this boutique gem. This hidden gem. #1 nursing school in the country. #1, and not by opinion, by testing. It was tough. Clyde Cooley, we had an ethics department at the yin-yang. And the ethics, they pounded it. They really pounded it. Clyde Cooley used to hammer it, So they wanted it. They moved in. In the late 90s, this professor then showed up in 98. Bill Childs, who owned R.C. Willey's, and Warren Buffett teamed up. Were there trying to buy it. I'm like, oh, no. So there's been an indictment and a conviction. He's an IT guy. Weber State, Syracuse, Utah, R.C. Willey's. Is there a connection there? Well, it was. That's where it started. He's been sent to prison for 10 years. Hanson calls himself Rockwell Hanson. He's telling state secrets. So you go from the #1 school of business in the United States to pretty well last scoring. I have videos I can't post because, anyway, what was going on up there. As you know, I've been screaming and yelling about it since 98. And I've always thought Clyde Cooley's death was suspicious. Always, I was asked to save the program. I wanted that first MBA from Clyde when we got it. We get the first MBA in the history of the school. Shows up, we're the #1 undergraduate program in the country 9 consecutive years. So we get the MBA. And Clyde Cooley, the #1 finance professor in the country, bar none. It's unarguable. It's going to be his baby. Students flocking from all over the world. Always. 2 weeks before it's ready to start, he gets some kind of encephalitis attack to his brain in his class. In this last week of the summer semester, had to be let out, and I ate him away. He died in November '99. So they're scrambling. I show up, and Kyle Madsen, he was in way over his head. I can't do this, Kevin. No. I says, who could? He says, you? Please. You're going to have to help me, especially with the derivatives class. And, he had a famous options class. I agreed to teach it. I agreed to help out under the agreement that I got the first MBA. Other perks and other promises like money and others. Like a fool, I believed their promises. And they betrayed me. 7th generation here. I have the last letter organization of the legendary finance quiet too. So still, I've always known that Weber State was up to absolute no good. The school of business. My guess there'll be arrests up there. I talked to two of the locals that are here. There's only 2 locals up, and they're not business professors. I talked to one of them the other day. I won't mention his name. And I said, you got any ties there? And he said, no, Kevin. You've been screaming about this from day one. I said, if you got any ties to that school business, you distance yourself now. Because I don't have any. And I said, good for you. I didn't think so. Anybody who's got a business degree from Weber State School of Business from '99, president needs to sue them for their money. I mean, this corruption, the FBI, AP, it's being reported worldwide. The so-called Chinese influence. Remember, John Huntsman was the ambassador to China, named by Obama, and then Trump into Russia. I talked to him about this, talking about Fukushima. Buffett rolls in, donates all the things. Bill Childs and R.C. Willie's. It's deep. It's corrupt as hell. Is it state secrets? Well, think about this. The number 1 school business in the country, Weber State. What a gem. Now, you think about the people that allowed this to be destroyed. Why would you take the number 1 school business, you would protect it fiercely. You would present it. You would grandstand it, right? No. The people that were involved, whether it be university president, Ann Milner's a politician now. She was a president then. All these people that participated in this should be beyond absolutely ashamed of themselves. It's criminal. I told Carl that the other day. I said, look, Calabunga, dude. I said, look, anybody that was involved with this should be on absolutely ashamed of themselves for allowing this to happen. It's disgusting. It's shameful. It's horrible. I mean, who allowed this to happen? Well, I know. I can name names. I know who did it. I know names. I was involved. I'm screaming about it. No, 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 no. So that's probably the last photo ever taken with him. Oh, what a gem, that dude. How friendly. The last time I saw him, I took a photograph right there. And when I walked out, he was sitting right there. And when I walked by there, I went like this to him, and he gave me the peace sign. We used to talk about Fukushima. Oh, he was all over it. He got it. He knew. Born and raised here. He's of Japanese descent. Yeah. What a fantastic person. It's like the old biology. Ogden High teacher just said to me, he says, what a life. And he says, just perfect. He said, just perfect. I'm like, yeah. Died 100. He turned 100 this month. It's incredible. So, back to the corruption at Weber State. The football team got the death sentence, and then Jay Hill come in and turned it around. The basketball program, Well, they fired Ron Baglin for winning against North Carolina. So I got to tell this story about Weber State basketball in 1999. So I worked for the team, worked for the university. I'm screaming and yelling, going crazy about this corruption. You know, during this whole project, I was still, I was a derivative arbitrage guy. I had a job, Blanch class, and blah, blah, blah. I did a lot of things. Arsenal and Gill, Guy Beach had brought them here. We beat North Carolina in 99 in Seattle. How's it going, man?
Oh, God.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
that was my fault again.
So, Min died, huh?
Huh?
He died. Min, our 100-year-old.
Yeah,
He died this week, huh?
everybody, God.
What a freaking life, right?
Yeah, always.
He said he started mall walking
The
at
only thing
61.
I am, and I told them after my third heart attack,
Yeah.
my legs, they said, you're going to die at 8. And I said, no, I'm not going to die when I'm 80. I'm going to stay like when I took care of my dad died, we was in Hawaii.
Uh-huh.
And they called us, says, your dad wants to talk to you before he dies. I said, okay, we'll go, we'll come back now. When I come back, went in and he says, please take care of your mother. And I said, I'll take care of my mom all the day. I'll keep all day. He says, thanks. And he died
Really?
that fast.
How old are you now?
74.
Oh, God, you got a ways to go then, buddy.
But the thing is, I'm hoping, and like I say, I've golfed for 40 years. We're called the Grass Cutters. There's
Where do you play at? Out at Snyder's?
down at Glen Eagle.
Oh, you're
And
Glen
then,
Eagle.
Then on Thursday, we go to different places all over.
Oh.
Matter of fact, we go.
What's his name over at
we
Riverside?
go clear up to Idaho and everywhere.
Oh, so you guys have all kinds of fun.
On Thursdays all the time.
Nice.
But the thing is, the end of that year,
Yeah.
the last time I played, I got up there on there and boom, and did it, and my leg broke.
Holy shit.
My knee
Dislocated your knee?
broke right in half.
Oh.
On one shot, and they fixed it.
You're still walking?
And they told me that, and I said, no, I'm going to stay alive till 94. But I'm just hoping if we ever get to, because we used to play, they used to call us, during the year, because there wasn't only snow once in a while.
Yeah. Now look at
Where
it.
it was always good, where
Yeah.
they'd call us, say, you guys come play, and we would. In the middle of winter and everything.
Yeah.
Just
Especially the last 10 years.
And just get in that cart and put my cart cover and my heater on so you stay warm.
You know what I say about golf? Golf's for kids and old people. And I always said, if I ever become one of those middle-aged weirdo golfers, hit me in the head with a 9-iron right behind my ear. It's for old people and young people.
I'll tell you what.
You know, most middle-aged guys around my generation, well, I'm not middle-aged anymore, I'm 63, but most middle-aged guys, they just went from the bar to the golf course.
And I'll tell you what, most of our guys now and us always wear these out there instead of a hat because it keeps your ear and it keeps you warm.
Sure. Well, good talking to you, man. So, a bunch of really great people in here. You've had a hell of a go. So, yeah, who knows? 62. I'm not 63 yet. I'm almost. So, back to this story at Weber State basketball. So, I'm up in Seattle when Weber State pulls that upset, which I knew they would. And they were 8-1 on the money line, plus 800. So you bet 100, you got back 900. So I was in Wendover, and David Locke was arguing with me, of all people, before I went. About $1,000 on him to win money line. He's our mill. Sent it in. I'm like, by the way, you go from Hot Rod Hundley to David Locke. But we say the only thing we have really, we have the great Jake or Steve Klauke. He's the best. So, and we had Carl Arke. He was the best. So, we had Kevin Blanch for years. radio station fired me and sold off our signal for, they've been trying to get rid of me for years. So they moved to the second round. They play Florida. Miller and Haslam still in the NBA. Weavers ahead the whole game. Weavers got him beat. Gill, who played in the NBA for years, he's the color guy for, you got to see him now. He's 40-something years old. He looks like he's 20, can still play. He had a fantastic game. They're ahead the whole game. The game's tight. I mean, it's back and forth late. It's really tight. Weavers down by 2 with not much time to go, and they're trying to get a shot off to put it into overtime or to win. I know how Ron Baglin played. He goes right for the win. He says, in the huddle, no. You take the 3, you knock it down, and you win this game. So Gill kicks it over to, launches a 3, and he's fouled hard. It's a hard foul. Probably would have made it if he wasn't fouled so hard. To the line, there's hardly any time left. Talk about pressure free throws. Makes the first one. Second one is halfway down. I don't know how it come out. I honestly don't know how it was cursed. Third one, he knocks it down. Overtime. They lose in overtime. But the next game after that in Seattle was Madsen, who coaches Utah Valley, who got beaten overtime in the Final Four of the NIT last night. He's a Mormon, so they used to call him, Mad Dog. And Montgomery coached them from Montana, and that team was incredible. And I mean incredible. That Stanford team. They're playing a nobody team that nobody's really heard of, a low seed of Gonzaga. Now, Stockton played for Gonzaga. I remember when they played at Weber State beat them by like 20, 30, but Gonzaga was not a basketball powerhouse. It was not until that day. I've been in a lot of arenas, including the NBA Finals, all of them I was sitting right across from Jordan when he dropped the shot. I've been in incredible arenas. I was at the Jason Kidd game, and they got beat by the Cheeseheads at the D. I was at the Steve Nash game when they beat Stottlemyre, the 2C. I mean, I've been in arenas where they go crazy, lots of them. Never have been in an arena like that. Santangelo from, what a game. I thought the roof was going to come off, literally off that building, the old Kemper Arena in Seattle. And changed that program forever. They beat Stanford and Madsen. Now, of course, springboard, Madsen's a leading candidate for the Cal job of all things. You think he'll get it? Yeah. I mean, that's what we do. They just wave money and these guys take it. So, let's talk some salmon. So, as you know, the salmon collapsed post-2011. And people don't even realize that the salmon live in the ocean. They don't live in rivers, including Joe Biden has no clue. We're going to save the salmon in the rivers. He says he's going to save the salmon in the Colorado River when he's talking about the Northwest. This is how geographically illiterate you think it's just. No, people think that salmon live in rivers. They think the steelhead live in rivers. No, they don't. They live in the Pacific Ocean. They come home to perpetuate the species. Up the mighty, incredible Columbia. Remember the Bonneville Dam? It was originally named the Chief Joseph. What they did to that river, the dams, oh yeah, they're a problem, but they're not where they're dying. They're dying at sea. So, by the way, the Colorado River, no water makes it into the ocean. It's all taken out. Don Quixote. What a book that is. False Bay, where I grew up, and here in Ogden, Utah. So they've crashed. And people say it's been going on for decades and years, and no, it hasn't. We had record returns, 2008, 9, 10. You can look it up. The steelhead started to crash, as Kevin Blanch said, on cue in 20, they go to sea 1 to 2 years. Everybody's look at these Chinook numbers, Blanch, these huge Chinook. They're going crazy. Record numbers in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. If you use the fishing number, the gillnet number, and the passage number, they had 1.4 million over the passage number. And this is by number, not by weight. You combine them all, 2.8 million record, all-time record. Live cam, you could watch it on the Army Corps. Why is the Army Corps pull the live cam? 2016. Kevin Blanch, no, they'll collapse in 2016. Why 2016? They go to sea for 5 years. I scream it and scream it and scream it, and everybody's laughing. Will you believe me when they collapse? Oh, did they radically off a cliff. I mean, this is one of the greatest ecosystem collapses in human history. What's going on in the Pacific Ocean? Tide pools, wasting disease. Now, remember when we were at the shortwave fire, I've got this photograph of Chad, the great activist, anti-nuclear activist I used to work with in Ohio, who was found dead at his keyboard. Just received 2015, New Year's Eve, an aneurysm, from my understanding. We're at the shortwave fire that year, and we're talking about a mystery disease that is showing up then in 2014. And we're, talking Fukushima, we're talking everything. Play back the tape, Your Honor. So the tide pools collapsed just like Kevin Blanch said. I got cancer in 2011. I got AML leukemia. And it's given 2 months to live. Already on, Wayne. And so I was in a bone marrow transplant center at the LDS pretty well all of 2012. I didn't get out till go anywhere till 2013. The Senate offered hearing that they put me in handcuffs when I was due to speak. Why I'm in critical condition for no reason, absolutely no reason. And so I'm screaming the tide pools will go first. So I go to California, I walk the whole coast, do. You got to remember back then it was not easy to, it wasn't just a phone click. I had nowhere. I started working tide pools in 2013. And I'm like, oh my God, they're dead and wiped out. I could see this acute radical change. They're like, oh, it's wasting disease. Okay, what's causing wasting disease? Out of nowhere? We're going to ignore Fukushima? Just a coincidence, bro. So they start to go. And I'm like, well, salmon start to go in acute fashion. Now, in science, as a biologist, zoologist, we don't buy coincidence when you have something like this happen. In fact, that's fraud. You never use that word. You go to work, first you hypothesize knowledge. Well, Kevin Blanch about art, how possible for it to happen. This is an energy being pushed into the Pacific Ocean. We don't even know what it is. It's unforeseen to human mankind. It's going to change everything. Einstein was right. It's going to break the chain. The plankton. The plankton's going to go, and it's, big fish eat little fish. I predicted the starfish would go first, and the sea anemones and the urchins. And they're not extinct, but they're between 90 and 99 big. I work with and verify. I says, next will go anchovies and sardines. Then the salmon. Still going 2016. Then the whales, which has all acutely happened. I mean, Noah's come out and even put up my whale numbers that I was putting up as they happened. Remember when I was counting dead whales in those days, long before anybody else was? And by the way, I wrote Fukushima killed me on a dead well in its own blood with a paint roller. And some people showed it. Oh my God, Kevin Blanch, how do you think radiation killed the 60,000 pound? Radiation did not kill the salmon. Radiation did not kill them. Radiation killed their food. Well, whatever it is that's coming off. Radiation's a big, broad term. It's a huge, broad term. You think the sun radiates, give you cancer for 93 million miles away. Bring you star-powered out to live in more California. Oh, there's 3 of them burrowed in the Pacific Ocean. They've been pushing this in the Pacific Ocean the whole time. They've never gotten near it. It took 60 minutes nearly 3,000 days to tell you what Kevin Blanch told you in the first hour. Leslie Stalter, Lake Barrett, the cover-up kingpin of the Milan. He's the Fukushima cleanup guy, which there is no cleanup because Obama. And Obama, I'll tell you, green. Obama's in the Situation Room with Axelrod, with John Holdren. You know, should we send in the Reagan? Already been sent in. U.S. said Reagan was already there, been sent in. Make it so. That's Haas Cartwright. Now remember, he got indicted. There's my biology teacher. He's a gem, man. So, remember, make it so. Obama's right-hand man, who's going to be head of GCHAP, Haas Cartwright, the Marine. You know, my Semper Fi father, who's Nuke Death and Nevada says Semper Fi, brother. Remember that? They sent the Reagan in. Remember we had a trial and the only activists really doing any work there, Kevin Blanch, all the time. Did it ever get to trial? Hell no, of course not. Supreme Court. You know, because the Nuclear Energy Crime Syndicate, the nuclear energy tail wags the government dog. Who is the government? They are. 32 ships were sent in to entomb and evacuate military personnel and civilians from Japan. Obama, on the advice of Holdren, Axelrod, and crew, backed them out, turned them around. How come they didn't entomb it like they did at Chernobyl? Because they felt it would hurt the nuclear industry. This was all to protect the industry, all of it, and punish Mother Earth. They didn't do anything. They used the homeless, the distraught. Fukushima's killed them. Okay, then how come the head of the Fukushima 50 died of cancer in 2013? His mother emailed me right before I announced that to the world. I wasn't sequestered in Japan. Go ask Kathy Iwani. Go ask Rachel Godoya. They were both married to Japanese men with Japanese children living in Japan at the time. We'll talk to them about Kevin Blanch's work. So the cover-up began. I was at the Million Mass March. Remember, was based on the Fukushima cover-up the 5th of November 2013. The next day, Obama called in TEPCO to the White House. We were there, remember? And that's when he got rid of the Department of Energy and replaced him with Ernest Moxie Fuel from MIT. The only person that ever challenged the NRC, I challenged Allison McFarland on the cover of Fukushima. The only one's ever asked a politician, a United States Senator, about Fukushima, Kevin Blanch. I've asked them all, including Wyden, who went to Fukushima Chan multiple times. He reported to Congress that it must be worse. And then they classified State Secrets Act in Japan, no, here, including classified Kevin Blanch. It's an argument. The Army Corps of Engineers, and they classified me. It's like Trump. He'll say, this is how pathetic. You know, you talk Fukushima Trump. Yeah. He met with Abe 17 times. He met with the Japanese PM once. Is historic. 17 times. He wasn't the PM. Abe. Errol Kahn was, who walked up and bowed to me, had tears in his eyes, and told me, thank you, Kevin Blanch, for all your work in Delmar, California. They forced him out. What happened to Abe still blows my mind. I think there's way more to that story. So, the Japanese mob, well, they ran the cleanup of Fukushima. What's that old saying? Dead man can't talk. I mean, these ties are so evil. Understates nuclear you. So, they back them out. They don't do anything. They push this energy into the Pacific Ocean. 3 full, never happened at Chernobyl. 700,000 men entombed a partial core graphite reactor that blew up in RBN. And I had read paper after Weaver stayed about these Mach 1, Mach 2s and their spent fuel pools, which Utah Construction built them, which is G, which is Weaver State. I knew that the spent fuel pools, which I knew that there were 7 major spent fuel pools, Mox Fuel, some of the biggest loads in the world were there. Because Fukushima, Japan is on the ring of fire, and it had an accident in 97. Guess what day? Oh yeah, March 11th, look it up. So we knew. We were protesting it for years. It was on my top 10. It was on my top 5 of the most dangerous nuclear reactors. Fukushima Daiichi, Fukushima Diani, Tsunonofuri, Diablo Canyon, right at the top of it. Why? Because they're all in the ring of fire. I knew when the quake happened. I was in the Energy Solutions dump site protesting Mike Lee bringing in the Italian nuclear waste when it happened on March 11th. It was actually March 10th here, 2011. So I saw it was a 9. The live cam wasn't, no government put that up. The live cam was put there by activists, and CNN put it there. Remember, Sanjay Gupta and Anderson Vanderbilt Cooper were there. They were said Fukushima meltdowns thousands of times. Meltdowns, they were there. Should we get out? Should we get? Remember they had Walsh from MIT, the PR guy who claimed to be new, who had nothing to do with me. Just PRing. Should we get out? As soon as the wind changed, the wind was blowing over the United States for the first 6 days. So RadNet was taken down, crashed by who? Gina McCarthy said, "What's RadNet?" RadNet's the radiation detecting network that we spent millions. It's everywhere. They tore all the dishes down, and well, they took it offline. Why? Same reason they pulled the live cam on the Columbia River. Gina McCarthy did such a good soldier that she was named head of the EPA. Then she was named climate czar. And by the way, czar is not spelled with a C. Czar or Z. It's TZ. Spelled with a T. It's czar, and it's Russian. So they crashed it. Barack Obama on St. Patrick's Day, 2011. I Never Promised You a Rose Garden. Standing in the Rose Garden. The plume is coming over. It's not harmful, the experts tell us. And we will keep you abreast. I'll keep you to know what I know. And he never mentioned it again until right before he left office in 2016 on Jimmy Kimmel. And this is, you can look this up. Ogden, Utah. Dumb and Dumber was filmed at Butcher Viz's bar, my old lead man for Blanch Plaster. I was out there, the old keg on 24th Street. So now we have Bush Dumb, Obama Dumber. Obama Dumber on Jimmy Kimmel 2016. Look it up. Is it true they call you in the middle of the night? The phone rings at 4 a.m. Hillary Clinton's the campaigns, Yeah, yeah. Did it ever happen to you? Yeah, yeah. Like when the Fukushima disaster happened. Jimmy Kimmel, Santa Susana, don't you call it Santa Susana in LA? What's Fukushima? You know, the typhoon. Barack Obama, who was in the situation on the Fukushima, called the Fukushima disaster, which is probably the greatest disaster in human history, on multiple levels, a typhoon. Donald Trump was asked by Kevin Blanch twice, are you going to talk about? Yes. Did he? Never, not once. Never mentioned. Remember, he met in Mar-a-Lago with the B. It was his first, right as he became president. As soon as I was in D.C. when Trump won that night, I took the bus in the middle of the night to New York. Remember? Abby was the first one here. Brought the gold driver to New York right after the election to Trump and went to work on him. Then they met at Mar-a-Lago and they blacked out the windows. No media, no nothing. So what do you think that conversation was about? And Trump never mentioned Fukushima one time. Not once. Not once. So sliding with Biden was asked by our people, you going to open the book up? Oh, yes. As he mentioned, nope. So it's the trilogy. All three of them just dumped so much nuclear energy pork and still are out. It's sickening. So you got Bush dumb, Obama dumber, Trump dumbest, and sliding with Biden, making up the superfecta. We're going to save the salmon in the Northwest in the Colorado River. Oh, my God. Joe Biden. I mean, Bush, we all knew what he was. Didn't know Austria from Australia. I mean, we can go on and on about that. Obama dumber. You going to fix Hanford? This guy propped up. Got to tell you, don't want Hanford is. You know, Fukushima, who was in the situation, who knows, who gave the press conference in the Rose Garden, the only president that's ever mentioned the word Fukushima. Barack Obama. It's not harmful. You know, the typhoon. Look it up. Look it up. Slide with Biden. Nothing. So it's all happened, and so you know, I'll keep these going. It's 11 weeks today. 11 weeks today. I don't know, yesterday. My open heart surgery round 2. You know, birth defect I was born with. My father nuked it after that test site. So again, man, that's amazing because, I had a conversation with him last time he was here. And his son was here, and his son-in-law, his son looked like he's 30, and he's well in his 70s. And he told me, he says, I started mall walking the old Ogden Mall when I was young 60s, me and my wife. And I sang to him, children behave, that's what they say when we're together. There's a well on his shirt. Nice. Things that we say, because we're running just as fast as we can. He started to laugh. He says, I was there when they filmed that. Yeah, Tiffany. So, it's amazing. So the last time I saw him, he was sitting in that chair, and I talked to him that day for quite some time. And then when I was leaving, I just went, and he went. So we fight on one day at a time. Our lives are short, but I don't know if Moon was a Buddhist. I don't know, but I guess he was. But what's happened at Weber State School of Business? And I've been screaming the whole time. The FBI won't talk to me. They won't, because they don't want to know the truth. They don't want to know because these are too big a fish. So the FBI investigation comes out. There it is, just like Kevin Blanch said. Why would you take the #1 school of business thing? Because we were all about ethics and because we were #1. And why would the whole state of Utah participate in this? I've asked every governor about it. Well, why? Why are they that degenerate and that sick? They want to destroy what is good? Yeah, and they did. And people should go to prison. Yeah, lots of them. The people that allowed that happen to Weber State University over the last 25 years, the Board of Regents, every single president of the university, everybody that allowed that happen, they should be locked up. It's heartbreaking. Dr. Cooley's rolling over in his grave. All those great legendary finance professors up there, what they did to me, made all those promises to me. I ran that program for 5 years. They went in and changed my transcript. They went in and, they went after me viciously. And I know who did it. It's criminal. But I'm running just as fast as I can, holding on to one last hand. Out in Utah, mall walkers versus Joe Rogan, Rush Limbaugh Light, paid propagandists to talk about shit that doesn't mean anything. It's the economy, versus shit talkers. Kevin Blanch, Weber State School of Business, stole by usury, by the greatest, the government of China is the greatest human right abusers maybe on earth, besides, of course, Saudi Arabia. Oh, we're in bed with them, including Trump, which they were all Saudis in 9/11. But Afghanistan to kill the Taliban, went up to Iraq to get a big old side. Went up to Vietnam to kill the Viet Cong. How nice is boogeyman? They invented ISIS. Make it rain in Ukraine. Regret your war machine. Because it's the military industrialist complex. Beware. That's not a cliche. Beware. He warned us. The general warned us, President of the United States. Eisenhower warned us. Military industrialized complex and nuclear energy crime syndicate, which came first, the chicken or the egg. Nuclear reactors there to make uranium-238 into 235, make weapons ready to deplete uranium to make bombs, to make power for greed. The pork, dairy mega farms, all this pork that sprays out to these people, it's created an industry that is so large. So it's the nuclear energy, the military industrial complex, the DOE, tail wagging the government dog, and they're good puppets. No one will stand up. So, you see them go at 100. Stay in tune.